right, how's everybody doing? I know. We got another tumultuous year of Dolphins talk. You have some people on one side kind of saying we're doomed, and there's other people saying we're on track, everything's good, and neither side's right. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, but we need to be more towards the on-track portion. We've invested so much. I know the talk is now that Greer's been in charge since 2019. He's been here since 2016. He's been the GM. So this is a build from 2016, and even if you want to be kind, 2019 to now. We're heading into a very long period, however you slice it, of the Greer build. 23 was a clear area for us. We sat 3 games in front on the East. We were tied in the AFC itself, and we fell to the wild card and then fell out. Clearly a disappointment. 24 is obviously an extension of that peak window. I know some people now are saying, I told you the cap was coming. I've been saying it for 2 years. High point talent season. But now it seems to be popular, so I'm going to get into very detailed version of the cap. I'm going to show you actual numbers. There's going to be movement here because these guys, no matter what you want to say about the Dolphins front office, they're creative. They can move money. But you can only move it so much, and I'm going to show you the real numbers. I'm going to show you who we're missing, what we got to sign, all the stuff, and I'm going to put it on the screen so you can see it, because if you just start talking numbers and stuff, it can kind of get lost a little bit. But I want to cover a few bits of news as well. I got 2 really good comments during the week. I'm going to start adding more comments because such great comments come out. So I want to talk about them. Guys, I started doing the Twitter thing. I don't like to be in front of a camera. I get very nervous. I never like taking pictures. I don't like any of that stuff. But I like to do this job, so I got no choice. But now I found that really I have no choice but to do the Twitterverse thing. You just kind of your voice gets cut off. So I'm starting to regularly do the Twitter thing. If you guys do the Twitter thing, please help me out to get my voice out there, your voice out there, because I really do believe that you spend time with me, you help me out, you give me your thoughts. I think the world of you. It matters, and I care about this team. I care about seeing some success before I take a dirt nap. And I want to try to do the right thing by my team and by my viewers and fellow fans. So the Twitter thing is a thing. So help me out. And maybe you can give me some pointers. I don't like any of this stuff. I made Facebook, I think, 15 years ago. And then the very next day after it was made, I just shut it off. I didn't want to deal with it. So I'm not a social media guy. So maybe you can help me out there. I love Dave Hyde. Go check out Sun Sentinel, Dave Hyde. Dave Hyde, what counts is accountability, except for Dolphins GM Chris Greer. Dave Hyde is an old school guy. He really tries to do things the right way. Doesn't mean, he's right. I mean, Greer is the best thing since forever. But there's not enough real journalism that's saying, hey, man, maybe I don't like this thing. You could say it about the quarterback, but you don't really aim the gun too high, because then that cuts into certain things. And Dave Hyde did a really good job. And I really respect him. He's a guy I'd love to have to meet and talk to. I've always liked him. So check that article out. It's a good one. And now let me get into these comments. This is the first comment in Dad. Some of the stuff that I talk about, I'm long-winded because I try to hit on all that, over-engineer my German nature. But in Dad did a really great job in a succinct way surmising what I really try to do. He said, proper roster building is getting confused with advocating for Tua amongst Dolphin fans. It's about analyzing what a fundamental problem is. Just saying Tua is the problem is superficial to an underlying issue. That's perfect. Quarterbacks, they are a big slice of the pie. But if the chef poops inside the cake and you pick up the quarterback slice, and you taste it and it tastes like poop, well, maybe it's not just about that slice. Maybe the whole pie is poop, and that's got to go back to the chef. Just saying. Now, another one right here, Joe Freed Really good one. I did a podcast on what Warner was saying about the hot routes, about what, I heard Tua say something post game about this, not getting in on time. And then Warner said something afterwards about route combinations. And Joe Freed is a guy who knows football, probably knows a lot more than me. And you'll read his little comment here, but it was a good one. Riveting tell on Tua's post game presser versus Chiefs. This is gold. Skip down. Tua said most plays require a minimum of 2 to 3 motions to counter what the opponent's defense is doing. Tua said he's unable to audible at all because the majority of the plays come in 5 seconds remaining on the clock. Each audible requires at least 10 seconds. So basically, Tua is saying he needs 20 to 30 seconds to change the initial call. Bigger point. This explains why majority of the calls BS the Chiefs appear to be retarded. Tua is not able to change 2 or 3 motions pre-snap. McDaniel's plays calls also seem out of sequence, meaning each play, offensive play, is designed to set up the next offensive play. The problem, McDaniel has 389 offensive plays on his lineman. I don't know if that's true, but that's a lot. I am an OC of a prominent Southeast high school program. I have head coached for 35 years from Pop 1 all the way up to elite high school programs. Whole point, I learned the hard way. At one point, I had too many play calls on the play card. My mentor, who's since passed away, gave me this goal. Teach your offense 25 plays they know cold inside and out. This offense can digest and perfect those plays because that's all we know. Total 50 plays when you consider all the plays left on the tabs to the right. I won't finish with the rest. There's some profanity and stuff, but you can see it right there. Leave it up for a few seconds. But it goes back to another point. If you can't run the football and run inside, then the kiss, keep it simple, stupid, is really not on the table. A lot of the kiss is screens and stuff like that. But when it's all wrapped around edge stuff and deep stuff and corner stuff, the nickel high coverage and a nickel pass protection, the pass coverage, all fits into that same flavor. But when you come up to the line of scrimmage, get in there, run to the A gap, you get to the line of scrimmage, and you're able to actually physically bully guys inside, that is an easy call. It's an easy call for the linemen who don't have to pass protect. It's an easy call for the linemen who don't have to do wide zone stretch and figure out who they got and get on the move. And that stuff is very fickle. Wide zone is very fickle. Inside zone, and even more so man, but they don't run it anymore, is just an opportunity to take the hat off for the most part, get physical, get a simple play in there and pound it. And if you can get a balance in that, I did a podcast today or yesterday about how the NFL's cycle is changing from fun ball to pass balance. And I know I didn't put Dolphins in there, and a lot of people might not be checking it out. But if you're going to make an evaluation about this team, then you need to understand the NFL. And the more of a student of the game you are, the more you can make accurate calls. So check that out. And I believe what he's saying is absolutely true. This is why you could say, oh, McDaniel's an idiot, but he was a run coordinator. Why wouldn't you take a guy who's a run coordinator and build an offensive line that can run the football and not run it to the edges? I'll do another study showing you the edge runs and how one-dimensional we are. But the inability to run inside, you look at San Fran, where he came from. They run inside, they run outside. They could do the jet sweeps. They could pass all over the field. They are balanced. We aren't. We're one-dimensional, and we can't keep it simple. And so the lack of potency inside, the lack of the ability to drive guys off the football and run inside and keep it simple, then makes McDaniel have to create all these plays to try to fudge things and smoke and mirror and move things around to find space, to find ways to create yardage. And then that, in turn, falls down on Tua. This is not to say McDaniel's the greatest thing or Tua's the greatest thing, but you could see the ripple effect. But it starts with the chef. Simple, inside. Even Mahomes and Allen, they get simple. You can get overly complex. NFL is very, very difficult. And, if you're overly complex and you can attack every part of the field, is one thing. But when you're limited and overly complex, as Joe Freed Freed pointed out here, it creates problems. And you got to add that in your evaluation. Got it? Savvy? All right, so let me get into the cap part. I'm going to do doing live on Friday at 10 p.m. I'm going to start talking about team building. I'm going to kind of cover some of these things, get some comments. So come check me out there, 10 p.m. Friday this week. And before I do that too, I got to do the thing. Guys, like, subscribes, comments, and views keeps Curtis in business to do this thing so I could study, present my findings, have communication with you, and to do the thing I love the most. So guys, I want to give you a shout out to Ace Per Head, my sponsor, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so let's get into what we got going here. This little graphic here shows you what we got to fill. Now, some people say cut Baker, but you're only going to get about $5 million. But then you got to fill that spot. Is Tyndall going to fill it? You're going to have to draft a guy. You got a first and a second round pick. That's it. You could trade back and maybe get something, but you got the 22nd overall pick right now, and I don't think you're going to be able to get some kind of huge thing for you. So letting Baker go puts a hole, and then you got to fill it. I do think the linebacker position needs upgrading, but is that where you want to go? Elliott's gone. You're going to have to fill that. You really don't have much behind him that you can step up in there. Chubb, he's injured and is not going to be ready till midseason, along with Phillips. You can see on the edge. Van Ginkel's going to cost money, and you'll see that the money's just really not there. Maybe they can get one of these guys, maybe two if they just dump huge amounts of money into the future, but you don't have a really substantial edge player till maybe, week 8, 9, and then the slow buildup. Look at Von Miller. So those are two spots. Then you got Wilkins, who you might let go, but then you got to fill it. Davis is gone. You got to fill it. So basically you got Sealer and really not much else. Maybe you got that kid, the one kid we drafted, but I don't know. Was on a practice squad. Maybe you're thinking him to get in. I can't remember his name right now. Then you got Howard. You can't cut Howard pre-June. You can cut him post-June. There'll be money there, like $18 million. I'll deal with that in a second. But then you got to fill it. Is Cam Smith going to fill it? If not, you got to get a guy in there. But then if you do, all these guys you want to cut, Agba, and he's definitely going to get cut. I'll get into that. And so you want to cut Baker and Wilson. You're going to cut Wilson. You get money there. And then you're going to cut maybe Howard. All those guys, you got to fill their spots, and that costs more money. And it's not like we have tons of money to spend. You got Ramsey and Kohu, then that's good. Now, on offense, you have no real backup third wide receiver. Berrios is gone. You got Wilson, who you're going to get rid of. And so, and all the other guys we had in the background, they're not here. They're gone. So you got to fill that. You got Armstead, who, he's going to play, but he's going to miss some games. Lamb's gone. You're going to have to maybe sign him back. You got Jackson. You got Cotton. And you got Armstead. That's it. And then you got no one behind Smythe. And Smythe is not a first. He's a second. Mostert, you got there in H-Chan, so that's good. You got Tua. You got the rest of the guys. You got White and Skyler, and that's good. And you got Hill. But that's a lot of stuff you have to fill. So let's take a little deeper look. Here's just a look at the guys that we are letting go of. Connor Williams, we'll see what happens there, but he's a good player. But even if he comes back, he's not going to be ready till midway through the season. Wilson, we talked about. Wilkins is out there. Berrios, Van Ginkel, Isaiah Wynn. You're not going to bring him back, I hope. Robert Hunt, we know that. Needham, Deshaun Elliott, Chase Claypool. We signed him and he did what? Dropped a pass in the end zone. Eli Apple. It was a nice pickup, but you don't want him really back. Ahmed, Davis, Lamb, Croft, who did nothing. I don't know why we signed him. We don't care. Bailey, Punther, Jones, Chosen, Craycraft, Hand, Robert Jones. All these guys are vets, and each one is going to cost you $780 base to get back. So that's a tally up right there of cash. And so let me get into the actual numbers. So I'm going to put this little image up with what I'm saying. I'm just going to kind of read to it, but show you the numbers. All right, I'm going to go over the numbers even more detail in the team building part on my live on Friday because you just really need to take your time. It's just very difficult. I want to show you all the numbers so we can kind of hash it out and talk it out together. But in essence, the Dolphins are minus 41 million. They only have 37 players on the roster. They're going to get between 15 and 25 million in cap growth. So they could be anywhere between minus 16 to minus 36 million prior to free agency and prior to doing anything to work with. They've got to, they can only take two of the players. No, guys, only two of the players can be pre-June cuts. So you just can't cut X and Agba and Baker and Wilson and then put all that money in free agency. You only do two. Now, if you cut Agba, that's 13. It's not 17. It's 13 minus the dead money. And then Baker, you'll get $5 million in dead and $5 million in actual $10 million that you can spend. So it'll be 5 in dead and 10 in actual money. So together with Agba, that's $23 million. So depending on how the cap grows, you could have around plus $9 million before you have to do any restructures. Now, when you look at the restructures, Xavier Howard can't be restructured or cut until post-June. If you cut him pre-June, like designate him pre-June, you lose. It's like $23 million in debt. You can't do it. Post-June, you can get about $18 million. So that's sitting there for the Dolphins to work with. Tua, he's on the 5th year of his contract. It's his 5th-year option. It's $23 million. You could give him a long-term contract and move $23 million into the future. You could somehow give him the $50 million or whatever he wants, and then just kind of give him nothing this year and then put it all going forward. But I'll talk about how that's a little difficult too. So in theory, you can get another $23 million. So you could have $33 million this year. You would have to sign 35 guys. You'd have to sign 18 guys. Because you'd have 35 on the roster, 37 minus 2 for say Agba and whatever else. Armstead, you can't cut him. You can't do anything because you save 8 and lose 11. Tyreek Hill, he's a possibility. Maybe you restructure him, but he's making $30 million a year. He's 29 years old. I mean, what are you going to do? Ramsey, he's 29-year-old cornerback. I could see maybe Tyreek, but Ramsey, I think that would be a little crazy. And then Chubb, you can't do anything. Everybody else's contract is not substantial enough. So the Tua deal getting long term might be able to put you money, but then you're running a risk of, hey, man, what if this guy ain't the guy? So it really kind of does put a little problem there. Now, if you calculate, we need, 18 at least guys to fill the roster. Plus, you get a little bit more than the 53. You want your practice squad and you want, guys to fill out the roster come training camp. Even if they're making a bare minimum, I put it 750, but it's 780 for the bare minimum. You need 13.5 million just to sign the guys to fill out the roster. So even if you got the 33 million, right? You got to minus 13 because you got to spend between 5 and 7 on your free agents and then all those extra guys. And who are you going to get for bare minimum? You're going to have to pay guys 2 to 3, 4 million good guys to fill some of these spots. You don't really have an offensive line. Your cornerback group might be decimated. You don't know. You don't got a safety. You need some tight end help. You need receiver help. So really, you're down to about 20 million, even if you do sign that huge Tua deal, because you got to figure there's going to be 13.5 plus easy. Now, you could sign a Wilkins to a long-term contract and push that forward. You could sign Hunt to a long-term contract and push that forward. But the problem is, with the Dolphins, in 25, you got to sign Phillips, if you want him, Waddle, and Holland as well. And in 25, you only have... let's see, what do you got? In 25, you only have 65 million to work with, and you only have about 21 players on the roster. So if you start putting all Tua's money, his $50 million forward into the 25, and then you sign Wilkins for 20-something million and you push it forward and you sign Hunt for the 13, you're going to run out of money next year too. And then in 26, you got 114. That sounds like a lot, but you only got 13 players. And then if you move all these guys' contracts into the future or just add it, it's going to deduct from that. So the next 3 years, the Dolphins are very, very, very tight. And so when you really add up the numbers, they're going to have to be judicious starting this year. And if they don't, they are mortgaging the future. And you could be mortgaged into 25 and 26. And so if you don't win in 24, then you're going to be having a harder time in 25 and 26. You'll have maybe Hill past his prime or gets injured and you got a $30 million contract on him, Ramsey or whatever you might. So to me, when you lay it all out, they can do things. Great movers of money. But you're not, if Easy steps up, well, then you know what? You got a guy on the roster to fill that third receiver spot. If Tyndall steps up, then you can have him fill in for Baker. If Cam steps up, you can have him fill in for Howard, who you can cut and get money for. But if they don't, and then you mortgage everything, and then you'll struggle in 24 because you need a good linebacker, you need a good corner, and you sure as heck need another receiver, plus the offensive line. And so really, guys, I don't know. Some people tell me not to worry. Maybe you guys are right. But when I go over the numbers, and I'll go over it, like I'll show you the details and all that stuff. I'll do all, 24, 25, and 26, and you'll see it is not going to be easy. We need draft picks. And then it's going to force Greer to hit this year in the draft. He's going to have to hit big in the draft. He's going to have to hit big on guards and center unless you want Eichenberg. People are saying Eichenberg's not going to be the center. Who are you going to get? Maybe you can bring Connor back, but Connor's not going to be back till midseason. And then he's going to need to work his way in. So who are you going to get to fill there? You're going to have Eichenberg and then you're going to pay another guy to be a good center to be in front of Eichenberg and then you're going to bring in Connor? I don't know. It's going to be sticky. But I'll get it more into it, guys, in the live. It will be, if Greer and Shore and the rest can manipulate this thing. And the last part is, I see people saying, oh, they're going to tag Wilkins. They're not going to let Hunt walk. It's not what Greer said. Free agency is free. If I tag you, that means the teams have to pay draft picks to get you, and they can, have to deal with the bidding process too. So it's not free. Greer said they've earned the right to be in free agency. Free. Tags is not free agency. I'm only going by what he says, and free agency means they're going to be free agents. That means Connor and Hunt and Wilkins. Now, he could change his mind and tag somebody, but that's not free agency. It's contrary to what he said. I'm just using the words that he used and the definitions of those words. So, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, guys, catch you next time. Be well. See you soon. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.